Mālole Saphron Matamua. I'm Nu'ali'i Eteroa Lafaele.
And I'm Julia Arnott-Neenee. And this is Tech Voyagers, a series that explores the technology and digital realm as Pasefika trailblazers.
Join us each week as we recap the latest tech news and look into the wins, challenges, and impact of technology in our Pasefika communities. Mālole Saphron, and welcome back to our listeners. Oh my gosh, you're back!
Woo! I mean, you're back.
I know.
You're back.
My gosh. Do you like my tan?
Oh, is that what you want me to say? Yes. Was there?
There was no tan, but you know.
Wait, sis, where have you been?
I just came back from Melbourne.
No, but where have you been?
Oh my gosh, yes. So I was at a trade mission.
Yeah.
It was really exciting, eh?
And what was it called?
Mana wahine.
Woohoo!
Because we already know we're mana wahine before we hop on the plane. Now, let's go. But now it was pretty cool, eh? Meeting other women in business and actually getting to see what it looks like in Australia. Don't worry, I'm not moving to Australia.
Yes. You know what I will say? I think it's I'm so proud of you. So proud of you, sis, because there's not that many again Pacific woman-led tech companies or tech outreach education, you know, whatever box you want to try and put Whabawhale in, but you can't, that are out there. And so for you to get picked up and selected and to go on a pretty, you know, it's those things they're full on.
Yeah, starts at 7 in the morning, come back at like 7, no, actually not even 7, 9 o'clock at night, eh?
And because you've got to be on every day, because you never know who you're going to meet. You never know what opportunity is going to come up.
Exactly. And that's why I'm so glad that I packed in a small little hairspray. Because, you know, I really I wanted to cut my hair just to make it easy to maintain.
Oh, no.
But I was just like, oh, it's all right. But yeah, no, I'm glad that we had outfits.
Yeah.
And we were ready to hit the road running.
We came prepared, sis.
I know, right?
We came prepared. Oh, so proud of you, sis.
Thank you
so proud
much.
of you. And today on our show, on our episode number 4. We are going to get to the end. I think everyone's probably relieved. They're probably wondering if we have anything else to talk about. But we're going to get to the end of our founder story. We're going to talk about, you know, the biggest learnings, and also, you know, before we get into all of that, as always, we are going to start off with the best part. I think it's the best part because it is Eti on the beat.
Eti on the beat. Eti on the beat. Eti on the beat. News report number 1, stemming the tide of AI-enhanced cyber attacks. According to Abnormal Security, the number of attacks per 1,000 people has jumped from below 500 to more than 2,500 in the past year. And the sophistication of attacks is skyrocketing. Just as any student can use ChatGPT to write a perfectly good essay, it can also be used to churn out dangerous, scary messages that are grammatically perfect and dangerously personalized without so much as a Google search.
I mean, wow, this is terrifying. And I heard of this. So I think this went viral actually. A lady in Arizona, a mum, she actually was the victim of a voice cloning hoax. So someone had used artificial intelligence to copy and replicate her daughter's voice, had rung her up and said that her daughter's being kidnapped and that she had to pay a ransom of $1 million. Now, that is like a whole nother level of a version of a cyber attack, right?
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Where you're, and I think the biggest part to this is that we're putting our voices everywhere.
Yeah,
like
right now. Like, see? Like,
hard out. Like, literally, someone could, not giving anyone ideas, but yes, right now, Tech Voyagers, we're putting our voice out into the world, into the ether, and how it's protected or how it could be used against us is so scary. And I mean, I have so much empathy for that mum, because that moment where she would have answered that phone and it sounds like her daughter's screaming or crying or completely distressed and her not knowing, like, thankfully she was able to validate it quite quickly and like maybe jump on and check where her daughter actually was. But for that moment of just complete fear and panic and your worst nightmare.
Yeah, it's just scary. And because, like, if we go back to our other episodes, we spoke about how our people still use voice recognition for banks.
Yes.
So, like, imagine if people use it to access.
Oh yeah, into your bank account.
Yeah.
I know, it's crazy. So I guess, like, something to think about around the rise of misinformation, disinformation, the way in which the way we're using technology and we don't know how it might be used for other people. And I guess a big part, and like maybe this isn't something we talk about in depth today, but how do we protect ourselves, right?
Yeah.
As a community, I know there's a big fear over in the Pacific region as well. When we went back to Samoa, that was a huge topic of the government. And so how do we protect ourselves from these cyber attacks, and how do we become wiser, right? Like smarter, outsmart the cyber stuff.
The cyber stuff, exactly.
What's news item number 2, sis?
Number 2 is Twitter's rebrand.
Oh my God.
Wow, must be nice, eh? So Mr. Musk brought Twitter, and now he's rebranding it as an X. So
I love how you said as an X.
As an X.
You really dropped that down.
Yeah, like out of all names, like you could write extreme or, expert or something.
Or extra,
yeah. And because the signs have gone up and, back down, but icons are changing. And so one of the things that we noticed was, when you go on the App Store, you're not, the rules are you can't just have a single character.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, because Musk wanted to change it to X, he got given the exception.
I know. It's I mean, okay, and there's a part of this that really irritates me. Like right now, Elon Musk is actually suing an anti-hate group called CCDH, so the Center for Countering Digital Hate. So this group has come out with a white paper of sorts, a research of sorts, that showed that Twitter is not actually protecting and like looking after its platform and stopping anti-hate or like stopping hate movements from occurring. Like they are not protecting their users whatsoever, and people are running rampant essentially. And rather than actually looking at his platform, looking at this organization and actually thinking, what can I do to solve this or make it better? He's out here suing and silencing groups that are trying to create change and stand for justice. And I mean, is that not just ultimate corporate greed? Is that just not ultimate trying to accumulate power? And then not only that, like rather than figuring out problems that are actually happening, he goes and rebrands because that's way more important. Way more important.
And then it makes it feel like because he's able to change the rules, it's like, so I've got to have that X amount of stuff in order to change a rule that we've all had to abide for.
Hard out.
Yeah.
Hard out. So I know that another big part that he wants to do too is that he wants to create a super app with this X. He wants to make it like a WeChat apparently, like that. He honestly has been using the language of an everything app. So I don't know. I'm not considering like his other behaviors, how he's standing for the values or lack of. But for me, this is not the one, Not the tahi.
Not the tahi. Bless. Well, last topic for this amazing news report, is let's talk about remote working.
Yes, let's talk about it.
As more and more companies, especially large ones, have started demanding remote working return to the office. The competitive hiring advantage for remote-first companies is back. And it's even bigger than before the pandemic. And now that so many workers have had a taste of, a good taste of what this life can be, they would rather remote work than actually stay in the office.
And I mean, that's a big advantage for us, sis.
We are though.
Because we are a remote-first company, right? And I think, it's so interesting because I'm not sure. I'm sure every team is different, every company is different around when they measure around what does working well look like, and trying to evaluate, is working from the office, is the outcome working more well? If the metric is just around productivity, then that's one way. But if you're thinking about your actual employees' well-being, how do you weigh up? I mean, I'm sure some companies don't weigh it up. Yeah. Some of them might not actually weigh it up, but I know for me, the shift into remote working and for us to be remote first, it's a massive blessing.
Oh yeah, Hada. We can actually live life while working at the same time. But like even before, when I was working in corporate, man, the shift was good, Like, but I can see it from different views because there are some people that work for building that culture within the. So it's trying to find that balance and having that in. But man, remote working's mean
hard out, and I think it's going to be. I think it's quite optimistic to think that if people are really used to remote working, that this return to office policies, and some of these companies are actually changing the roles. So like because they've built a new policy, which means employees have their rights, and now they're trying to shift the rights, right? So like it's a bit of a balance of that's an opening for some people to go, actually, I want out, or I'm reevaluating where I want to be, and for others they're caught in this gridlock of maybe they don't have a choice, which is also really sad for them too. So interesting times to come.
Very interesting.
But if you do want a remote first working culture, you should check out www.fiberfale.com.
Yes, keep your eyes posted because there might be potential vacancies for you too.
Woo!
That's us here at Etsy on the Beat. Etsy on the Beat. Etsy on the Beat.
So here we are on the final
final countdown.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh shoot, I got that wrong. I got that so wrong. How does it go?
There we go.
Oh my gosh, help me. Okay, so we're here on the final episode, or the final component of telling our founder story, and I guess today, or this episode is a little bit of a wrap up. I guess it's kind of. I guess some people could skip all the other episodes just to get this
point. Well, welcome back.
Welcome back. Hopefully you're coming back. Well, we can sort of share with you a little bit of the pit and the peaks, but also, I guess, the big personal shifts that have happened. And it's been a year. It's actually been a year since, I went full-time. We started getting paid for this work. You went part-time and then shifted to full-time in April. Our first hire, everything was August. So August, September, around this time. So it's... high five. Should we start with that?
I know. That's just amazing.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because, the stats are stacked against us. So statistically, most startups fail in their first year. I think it's like 90% or something ridiculous of startups fail in the first year. So we survived.
Yeah, we're still here.
We're not having our own funeral for Fiberfale yet.
No. Please don't. Was
that bad? Where's the wood?
We'd have to have dessert after.
Would we go to Cobb & Co again? No. Okay, maybe not. All right, so yes, a year in review, or year one in review. Let's start with what we thought then and what we know now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, you go first.
What I thought then was that I actually thought that, how do you say it? Philanthropic. That's the one. I actually thought they cared about like us, and like you're not just funding the stuff, you're actually funding about all of us. Because that's how we come from. The way we get funded is different. So I actually thought that it was just common knowledge. Like I thought because you're helping to build it. So that was something that I was. Because I was always used to the process of you do the application, you do the reporting, and then that's it. But I didn't know that there wasn't that attention of, you want us to build it, but then are you going to look after the people that are actually going to build these products, So that was shocking. I think that was something that I learned,
I guess what do you know now, I guess? Or like, what's been the awakening that you've had around that?
That we're different.
Yeah.
That it's always important to set expectations early.
Nice.
And I think that's not just for us, but for everyone is you always have to have that plan of how you're going to look after the team, So I think looking at it now, we maneuvered it very different, and it was good that they understood that we have to feed ourselves, we have to put food on the table, look after our families while we're still hitting that mission that we want to support our people.
Nice. Yeah. I love that. I think I woke up at like you, you wake up, your brain's whirring, and I think I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning the other day, and I was which is probably not that early for a lot of people, but anyway, I woke up And I remember I had this flashback to, okay, who was I that really thought that we could pull this off? Like, I think you have to have a level of, I don't want to call it naivety, but you have to have that level of just complete passion and obsession with believing in yourself and believing in your team, you have to have unwavering belief in order to do things that most people would see as ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
And I look back on the 1 year younger Julia thinking, holy, you just had no idea what was to come, you know?
Well, yeah, you're your own cheerleader.
Right?
Like, yeah.
But I don't think if I had have known what I know now back then, I don't know if I would have started.
Yeah.
And that's the honest truth.
Far out.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
Sad. Oh, maybe it's not sad, but I think it's just truthful.
Truth, yeah.
Truthful, right?
Oh my gosh.
I know. So, and kind of, I mean, I know we're like speaking kind of vaguely because bless our souls. But you know, what would be? We talk about the pit and the peak. So the pit obviously is our biggest challenges, our greatest learnings, and then the peak being the aha moment and the proudest moment or milestone. So we'll just do one at a time, hey sis.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
We're gonna go low.
We're gonna go back to the
to go high.
Oh, so going to the peak. I've never been to a peak, and I've.
I mean, we're going to go low. We're going to go to the pit.
Yes, the pit.
And then to go to the peak.
Oh, yes, the pit. Oh, there's so many pits.
Oh.
I think the biggest pit was, for me, was when I left my job.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
It was hard to readjust the thinking that I hadn't hit the gold medal anymore. Because, you know, growing up, you're told, get UE, get NCA 1, 2, 3, go to uni, and then work a job, and then that's the end of the journey. But, you know, it was very difficult to try and be like, oh, I'm going to leave corporate and be my own boss. So the pit was, for me personally, was Dad struggled Dad thought I was still unemployed, and it made him worried.
Yeah.
But it took 2-3 weeks to try and build the pieces. I don't blame my old man, because that was the milk and honey.
Yeah.
But it was just see that no, Eteroa's gonna be alright. She's going to be her own boss. Yes, it's going to be hard. And I think that was the hard thing, was to try to tell Dad that it's okay for me to go through the hard stuff. It's it's the family thing. It's the village concept. We don't want you to stray away and be on your own. But I think that was it became a pit to a peak.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so it was very interesting watching and maneuvering, because we're the others.
Yeah, right.
So that was one of my pits. Yeah.
Totally. Thank you for sharing, sis.
Oh, no, you all good, sis.
Thank you for sharing. I think, one of the biggest challenges for me has been, it probably was back when we started, and trying to, because I was the first one that I guess jumped all in and like went, I was about to say 10 feet, but it's 10 toes, because you got 2 feet. 10 toes. 10 toes, 2 feet into whakawhale.
Yes.
And just the huge sense of responsibility I felt of just like, I got to figure this out. And I got to figure this out really fast. And it feels like you're a high... Okay, look, I'm not in the All Blacks, okay? So I'm not going to claim like I know what that life feels like. But in our world, it feels like you have to be a high-performing athlete that goes to the Olympics every day without any of the support.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a coach, you don't have a manager, you don't have a defensive or offensive coach, you don't have a nutritionist or a manager and whatnot, right? Like you can pull together your own board of advisors, which, or you can build your own board, but all of that takes so much time and energy to navigate when you're trying to navigate everything for the first time.
Yeah.
And for me, I felt such a strong sense of responsibility to wanting to make sure that the foundations were secure enough that then I could, invite you to come full time and invite Saphron to join and bring other people in. And I think that's one of the big areas that, I remember those times. And I remember when we started this, like I had full body hives for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
where I was just completely burnt out, and have been there again since, of just trying to hold it all and trying to make sense of it all. And like you say, not having actual really authentic and unwavering support there for us from areas and places that we thought that were there for us. So that definitely would be a pit for me, sis.
I doubt.
Shall we rise?
Yeah, let's rise, because
rise.
pump it up, hey.
Phoenix.
Yes.
What's a phoenix, sis? What's a phoenix?
It's a bird that has fire and gasoline, or...
I don't even know.
It must be filled by gasoline, because, man, there's a big fire, eh?
Yeah. The phoenix rise.
The rise. Oh, I think the what's it called? The peak of everything has been the growth of us as a team. I think if you're listening, you'll never find a squad like myself and Julia and Saphron. Like, we've gone through a lot, but it's like it's built us to be more stronger. But even we've actually grown in our skills, but also in the way that we navigate this industry.
Yeah, totally.
It's been great. It's like watching, I think the start of us was we were infants, but now we're like coming of age like it's pretty cool. Like, and I'm real grateful that I get to learn from Julia and Seth, because, my history as a dev was you get given a ticket, you have to do this, you got to test it, and then once you test it, next ticket. Like we were, what is it? All around it's a door.
Yeah.
And I was always used to just smashing out code and that's it. But to come here is to grow and have the opportunity to think about how all those tickets came into place. Switching that has been a very high peak. So this team's been bomb, eh?
I mean, I think going back to seeing the growth and the development of you and Saf, and then our wider team, has just been my biggest blessing of life. Like, I feel so proud of you both. I feel so proud of us. I think we've gone through some incredibly trying times and challenging times where a lot of people would have decided to play small and make themselves smaller in order to be more digestible, to be easier to swallow and handle, and all of these things. And, we have stood tall, stood strong, knowing that, our path in particular will not be easy because of how bold and how brave we are. But that I think we are really living our values, and we're living them every single day. And this whole idea of let's just get a seat at the table, even if the table's oppressive, even if the table's stabbing us behind the back and betraying us, like we've decided to walk away from that and step away from that as the vision, but actually gone, okay, we're going to try and figure out what is our version of that table. And it's probably not even a table, as we always say. And we're going to try to believe that we can be the controllers and the creators and the solution holders for our community. We're going to keep on believing in that and having the hope that what if this all works out? What if we pull off the unfathomable, the unbelievable, that everyone who tells us to go to the easier path or to be smaller, be more, to be easier, to prove all of them wrong. And I think we're doing this day by day, and who knows what may come next, but I'm so proud that we're living out another way of being, and I'm so proud that we're creating history together every single day.
I doubt. No. Head up, sister. Yes.
Are you hungry?
I'm hungry.
Is it takeaway time?
It's takeaway time, fam. Yes. Here's your order. Ding. All right, takeaway number 1. My takeaway is I didn't know it until the 1 year, but that, your story is your strength and truth. I didn't really think me coming into tech as a developer was I always knew it was different, but in my time with, this 1 year, I never knew the amount of weight it carried. And just the mana and also the conviction it holds, especially when we're in these realms. And I didn't really accept it. I always, because, we're very humble, but I think with that being said, when we're in a room where there are not many of us, man, you could hear a penny drop with our stories, but that itself can also drive change for the work that we're doing too. So takeaway number 1, your story is your strength, so stand by it. Yes.
Oh, fire. I love it. Okay, takeaway number 2. Something different, taking a different turn here, but knowing when to surrender. When what has helped you become what isn't good for you and your team. And what I mean by that is, as we kind of have spoken about before, we're all quite, we work incredibly hard with urgency, with a sense of, we're never going to get a second chance. So we have to always over-deliver. Yeah. And that culture and that way of, that mindset that we've had, which is kind of a byproduct of colonial thinking and like productivity and outputs, create impact and all that sort of stuff, and just that pressure that we have on ourselves, knowing when that is no longer actually benefiting us. And what I mean by that is, if we're falling apart, if we're getting burnt out, if we're not looking after ourselves, our families and each other, then what's the point? Yeah. Right? What's the point? So knowing when to surrender to reality and to say, actually our humanity means more than anything else. Making sure that we're well, that we're looking after ourselves, our families, and just each other is more important than how many times we deliver. So knowing when to surrender is your takeaway number 2.
Yes, and those are your takeaways right here, right now.
Yes. And here we are at the end of episode 5. Thank you so much for listening. Join us again next week. We'll be talking about all things tech and culture and why it's important to stay ahead of the curve, or maybe not even ahead, but stay in touch with the curve of technology. Because although it might not be in your day-to-day life now, it will be coming soon.
That's right. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn to let us know what you want to hear about. Until next time, so fast soy 4, we'll see you then. You have been listening to Tech Voyagers, brought to you by Fiberfale.
It was hosted by me, Julia Arnott-Neenee.
And me, Nuali'i Eteroa Lafaele.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you're following Tech Voyagers on your favourite podcast player so you get new episodes as soon as they land.
Join the talanoa and let us know your thoughts using hashtag Tech Voyagers on all socials.
And if you want to know more about pathways for Pasefika people in tech, visit fiberfale.com.